Rick and Trisha's journey on 90 Day Fiancé. Before the 90 days is one of those stories that slowly pulls you in and refuses to let go. What began as a cautious online connection soon turned into a deeply emotional, complicated, and surprisingly intimate real-life experience when the two finally met face-to-face in Madagascar. Their story isn't just about romance, it's about vulnerability, fear, cultural differences, trust, and the question that defines every before the 90 days relationship. Is this love real, or is it just a beautiful illusion? When Rick first decided to travel to Madagascar, he carried more than just luggage with him. He carried expectations, doubts, and emotional baggage shaped by past relationships and personal insecurities. For Rick, this trip was a risk. He wasn't just flying across the world, he was opening himself up to the possibility of heartbreak. Trisha, on the other hand, waited anxiously in Madagascar, wondering if the man she had grown close to through screens and messages would be the same person in real life. Their relationship had developed slowly online. Long conversations, shared stories, late-night messages, and emotional confessions had built a foundation. But as every 90 Day Fiancé fan knows, online chemistry doesn't always translate into real-world connection. Both Rick and Trisha were painfully aware of this reality, which made their first meeting even more nerve-wracking. When Rick finally arrived in Madagascar, the moment felt surreal. The vibrant surroundings, unfamiliar culture, and intense emotions created an atmosphere charged with anticipation. As Rick stepped into Trisha's world, everything suddenly became real. The distance that once protected them was gone, replaced by the raw honesty of face-to-face interaction. Their first encounter was awkward, emotional, and genuine all at once. There were nervous smiles, hesitant hugs, and moments of silence where words simply weren't enough. But beneath the awkwardness, something undeniable was happening. Rick and Trisha felt a pull toward each other, a connection that seemed stronger than either of them had expected. As they spent more time together in Madagascar, that connection began to deepen. Simple moments, walking through local streets, sharing meals, talking about their lives, became powerful bonding experiences. Rick was introduced to Trisha's daily reality, her culture, her struggles, and her dreams. For the first time, he wasn't just hearing about her life, he was living it alongside her. Trisha, too, saw a different side of Rick. Away from the comfort of his home country, Rick was vulnerable. He was navigating an unfamiliar environment, relying on Trisha for guidance and emotional support. This shift in dynamics allowed Trisha to feel closer to him, not just as a romantic partner, but as someone who trusted her deeply. However, their journey wasn't without challenges. Cultural differences quickly became apparent. What felt normal to Rick sometimes felt confusing or even uncomfortable for Trisha, and vice versa. Expectations around affection, communication, and commitment didn't always align, leading to moments of tension and misunderstanding. Rick struggled at times with insecurity. He questioned whether Trisha's feelings were genuine or influenced by the opportunity for a better life. These doubts weren't unfounded. 90 Day Fiancé has shown countless examples of relationships strained by questions of motive. Rick's fear wasn't about judging Trisha. It was about protecting his own heart. Trisha, on the other hand, felt the pressure of being constantly questioned. She wanted Rick to see her for who she truly was, not as a stereotype or a storyline. She needed reassurance that Rick trusted her intentions, just as she trusted his decision to come so far for her. Despite these emotional hurdles, their bond continued to grow. One of the most powerful aspects of Rick and Trisha's story is how openly they communicate. Instead of avoiding difficult conversations, they face them head-on. They talk about fear, expectations, and the reality of what a future together would look like. As days passed, physical closeness naturally followed emotional intimacy. Small gestures, holding hands, sitting close, shared laughter, began to replace the earlier hesitation. These moments weren't forced or dramatic. They felt earned. Fans could see that Rick and Trisha were slowly letting their guards down. Madagascar itself played a significant role in their relationship. The environment, rich with culture and warmth, seemed to encourage reflection and honesty. Rick wasn't just meeting Trisha. He was meeting her world. That experience gave him a deeper appreciation for her resilience and strength. Trisha's vulnerability became increasingly evident as well. She shared her fears about being judged, misunderstood, or abandoned. For her, this relationship wasn't just about romance. It was about hope. Hope that someone would see her worth and choose her despite the challenges. Rick's internal conflict became a central theme. He wanted to believe in what he was feeling, but fear kept creeping in. Was he moving too fast? Was he ignoring red flags? Or was he simply afraid of happiness because of past disappointments? One of the most emotional moments in their journey came when Rick openly admitted his fears to Trisha. Instead of reacting defensively, Trisha listened. She didn't dismiss his concerns, she acknowledged them. That moment marked a turning point. For the first time, Rick felt truly heard, and Trisha felt respected. Their growing closeness wasn't just romantic, it was emotional maturity in action. They weren't pretending everything was perfect. They were choosing honesty, even when it was uncomfortable. That choice set them apart from many other couples in the franchise. As their time together in Madagascar continued, Rick began to see Trisha not as an idea, but as a real partner. He saw her kindness, her patience, her humor, and her emotional depth. The doubts didn't disappear overnight, but they became quieter, replaced by genuine affection. Trisha, too, began to feel more secure. Rick's presence, his willingness to experience her life, and his openness made her feel valued. She no longer felt like she was proving herself, she felt like she was building something real. Of course, the looming reality of distance remained. Every moment together was shadowed by the knowledge that Rick would eventually have to leave. This added urgency to their relationship. Every conversation mattered, every memory felt precious. As the trip neared its end, emotions intensified. Rick and Trisha faced the question that defines before the 90 days. What happens next? Was this connection strong enough to survive distance, immigration challenges, and real-life pressures? Rick's growth throughout the journey was undeniable. He arrived cautious and guarded, but he began to open up emotionally. Trisha's growth was equally powerful. She found her voice, expressed her needs, and stood her ground when it mattered. Their story isn't about fairy tale perfection. It's about two people choosing to try, despite uncertainty. It's about vulnerability in a world that often discourages it. And it's about discovering that sometimes love doesn't arrive loudly. It grows quietly, moment by moment. By the end of their time together in Madagascar, Rick and Trisha weren't just closer. They were changed. They had shared something real, something that couldn't be undone. Whether their future leads to marriage, heartbreak, or something in between, one thing is clear. Their connection was genuine. Rick and Trisha's journey reminds us why 90 Day Fiancé, Before the 90 Days, continues to resonate with audiences. It's not just about visas and long-distance romance. It's about human connection, fear, hope, and the courage to take a chance on love. As fans, we're left watching, wondering what the future holds for them. Will Rick take the next step? Will Trisha continue to trust in their bond? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. Madagascar brought them closer than either of them ever expected. And sometimes, that's where the most powerful love stories begin.